Hi, and welcome to today's video. So what I will be talking about is what is the Prince2 process model. Now, this is another element of within Prince2. The process model has 7 stages, which I'll go into, which include starting up a project, i.e. SU, directing a project, DP, initiating a project, IP, controlling a stage, CS, and managing product delivery, which is MP, managing a stage boundary, SB, and then closing a project, CP. And I'll go into a bit more detail about each one of these stages. Now, Prince2 process model helps to divide the project into a series of manageable stages. It defines the activities, responsibilities for each stage, ensuring that you're consistent, your controlling approach to project management. So without delay, let's crack on. So the first part is starting up a project. Now, this is a key element of the first stage. It's to where you are really getting a foundation of what the project's about. Here, key documents that are created are the project brief, the project initiation document, or known as the PID. And the real objective here is for getting the key objectives of the project, the scope and the approach are defined here, and the roles and responses of the project team are established. Now, remember, the startup project is only the first stage, and all these documents are updated as you go through the project. The next one is directing a project. Now, how do you make sure that everything's in place? And the key process here is where you involve your senior management team or stakeholders, whoever they may be, to review the process of the project. Here, you create the project mandate. Now, this document provides, who the project sponsor is, gives you the project, it gives the project manager the authority to initiate the project to actually go on to the next stage. And again, here, the project board reports here. Now, this is where you kind of report who you're going to report to, how you're going to report it, etc. at this point. The next stage is initiating a project. Now, this is where you are actually starting up the project. And this is where the project teams is built a detailed. This is where the project initiation document, which we spoke about, the PID, you start building the detail, and this is where you start building on that document, and that's based on the project brief document. As part of the PID, you'll have a detailed project plan, you'll have a risk assessment, quality plan, any essential other documents that you want to do, any resourcing plan that you might want to put in there. All that is in there. And in other videos, I'll go into a bit more detail about these documentation, etc. Which, once you've done all that initiation planning, gives you a good understanding of what the project's about, gets you, you've got a detailed, at least clear objective of what you're trying to achieve, which then goes on to really your next stage, which is controlling a stage. Now, during the project execution, this work is divided to manage. You've got to break it down to manageable stages here. You can't do everything at once. You've got to break it down and do that. And in each stage, you specify the objectives are set, what work is going to be done, and then how you manage that project progress. Now, to manage that progress and see where you are, there are two key documents that I've used in the past: highlight reports and checkpoint reports. Highlight reports are giving you a weekly, monthly, or fortnightly, whatever update to your senior stakeholders, or where you are. Checkpoint reports, I use that for my internal team. Say, guys, this is where we are, this is what we're doing. And that doesn't necessarily have to be paper-based. It could be just a meeting or whatever that might be. So really, the controlling stage is where it's a repeat cycle. You're going through the work, you're authorizing the work to be done, gathering the progress information about the work, watching for changes, reviewing the situation, reporting, and then taking any necessary corrective action. But you are continuously doing that as part of the controlling stage. That depends on what part of the project you are. Sometimes it will go through smoothly. Sometimes it won't go as smoothly as you plan. Then that really goes into managing product delivery. Now, this process involves really the coordination of activities required to deliver the product and the output. And the focus here is the relationship between the project manager and the team members or the team manager, ensuring the products are created as planned and delivered on time. That's really, really key. You've got to keep that. It's an iterative process. Keep doing it, managing the product delivery, keep reviewing it, understanding it. And that you refer back to the PID, the project brief, you talk to your stakeholders, and you always go through the process of doing that. The next stage is managing a stage boundary. Now, this process takes place at the end of each managed stage. So, at end of each stage, or whenever you finished a piece of work, whatever that might be. And what you're really doing is understand what you've done, have you achieved it, etc. And this is where some of your quality control kicks in, which I'll cover in another video. And this is where you update your project plan, you look at the next stages, you do a bit of lessons learned, understand that. And this is where you look at your stage plan. This is where you look at this chunk of the work of your project plan, or whatever, or called a stage plan, is have we achieved what we've done? Have we got the resources in? Have we done everything we want to do, etc., to move forward? And also, have you actually achieved those, which is part of the end stage reports, which is a second piece of document, which basically reports say, okay, have we actually achieved, as part of this stage, what we had aimed to deliver? And that basically on that one. And then the final one is closing a project. Once you've done everything, you need to close the project. And this is basically a final evaluation of performance. Now, you can do this at a particular stage. You don't have to do it right at the end of the project, in my opinion. Prince2 will probably say do it at the end. There are many people who like to do it at the end, but it usually, it depends. You can close certain elements off, at least as a checkpoint. But in the Prince2 methodology, this is the very last thing you do. And as part of that, what you are doing is getting your finances order, making sure your resource requirements are updated, your financial information is updated, your PID is updated, or your project brief. You're looking to see how you deviated from where you started from, all those things. But ultimately, the output is an end project report. Report that covers what you've achieved, what you've done, any challenges across the way. And the one thing that a lot of people don't do is lessons learned report, which I think is a massive one. How are you supposed to be better at what you do, not just yourself as a project manager, but the team and the wider context. So in summary, there are 7 stages for the process model. Again, you've got starting up a project, which is SU, directing a project, which is DP, initiating a project IP. Then you've got managing product delivery, which is MP, managing stage boundary, which is SP, and closing a project, which is CP. All of these elements are key as part of the whole Prince2 model to make sure that you are effectively delivering and ultimately make it suit your requirements. It doesn't have to be a rigid process. Now, thank you for listening. I hope that was helpful.